everyone, this is Suchi and I'm back again with another interesting video from our food and culture series. Today I have Jan with me and Jan is going to share about a very interesting story of a very interesting cuisine. Hi Jan.
Hi, Suchi. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. So today you are going to talk about an interesting cuisine, I guess, Tex-Mex it is, right?
Tex-Mex. Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny that you call it interesting, Suchi, but the thing about this food series that I love is it really lets us think about how does culture influence food and how much borrowing are we doing and, are we really creating something new? So what I wanted to chat with you about a little bit today is Tex-Mex. And I don't know if you've actually had Tex-Mex, Suchi, because it's a very US kind of thing. So I know you were in the UK and I don't expect you would have had any Tex-Mex there. So no, right?
Well, I have heard a lot about it, but no, I haven't tried it yet, but I would love to try.
Well, and so it's interesting for me because so Tex-Mex is kind of like this Texas Mexican cuisine. And so people say, I was reading one of the authors commenting about how Tex-Mex hasn't received its rightful place. And people think of it as kind of inauthentic Mexican cuisine that's kind of got this Texas slant to it. And it's interesting because Tex-Mex is different from just, the food that you would have in Mexico. And I lived in Mexico actually for a while on a student exchange. So I did eat a lot of authentic Mexican cuisine. And Tex-Mex is different. I know that, right? So I get that the Tex-Mex is different, but I think it's a really interesting kind of blend of cultures to come up with something new. And no one's claiming it's Mexican. That's why it's called Tex-Mex as opposed to just Mexican food.
Okay, so how does this Tex-Mex cuisine originated?
Yeah, so Tex-Mex is really this sort of blend. I think it's kind of a fusion type of food. And so what are the origins? It's important to remember that Texas at some point was under the authority of the Spanish and was part of Mexico. And then there was a war, and then Texas got its independence from Mexico. I think I can't remember the exact date. But the Tex-Mex, from what I understand about it, and if others know more, then maybe they can pop it in the chat and let us know. But the way I understand it is that it came about later, much later than the time that Texas and Mexico, Texas split from Mexico, and that it was connected to sort of the railway and the sort of travel between Texas and I guess Mexico at the time. And it's really sort of derived from the sort of the home style Mexican cuisine, but then it has this other slant on it. So, you might be having tacos and fajitas and all of those things that we might know as something that you might eat in Mexico, but the fajitas might be different, right? The quesadillas are something that is very sort of Tex-Mex with the nachos and the ground beef and the melted cheese. And so it's kind of got this like inspired by Mexican flavor and also some inspirations apparently from Native American cuisine. So it really is this interesting fusion of different cultures coming together to create a new type of food that's been inspired by Mexican. So largely by Mexican food. And so Mexican and Texan flavors, I guess. Because we think of Texas as kind of like a steak place and, Mexican food as being very different. And the question is it really like just inauthentic Mexican, or is it something that's new and creative and that represents a blend of cultures? And people have different views on that, right? So that's kind of the story behind it.
Yeah, sounds really interesting, and I'm already feeling hungry hearing about all this, interesting food. And this is a perfect example how two cultures came together and came up with a new fusion food. So this is the best thing of culture. When they come together, they create a new culture, and like people from different places, they exchange the culture and come up with something new. That is the beauty of culture, I believe.
I agree, Suchi. And the funny thing also too that I think is really nice about Tex-Mex is that to the extent that it's accurate, our understanding of Tex-Mex being this kind of fusion of Texas and the native origins and the Mexican food, it really tells you in the Tex-Mex terminology, the name, that it's not just Texan food, it's not just Mexican food, it is Tex-Mex, right? That, hey, we've come up with something new in this area, and so maybe this is its own kind of thing. So it's not, I think that's why it's not one of those things where you'd say, well, they're just pretending to be Mexican food, because that's not they've said it's Tex-Mex, not just Mexican. So it's pretty cool, I think. But I'm curious what if anyone is from Texas or is very familiar with Tex-Mex or knows more about the history. I'd love to hear in the comments below, like what you know about Tex-Mex and how you perceive it, whether you think it's like rip-off Mexican food or if you see it as being its own new, authentic version of fusion of cultural heritages coming together.
Yes, if you have any other fusion food in mind, please do let us know in our comment section how two cultures came together and came up with a new fusion food.